All right, let's get into this. What you're about to hear is, and I'm not kidding, an absolute masterclass in corporate revenge. This is not just a story about someone getting fired. No, no, no. This is about what happens when you wildly underestimate the quiet, brilliant person in the corner office. You know, the one who actually built the entire system you're too clueless to even understand. So, here it is. The moment the fuse is lit. We're dropped right into a group Zoom call, and you can just taste the awkwardness in the air. We've got Julia, a compliance director, a 16-year veteran of the company, and her new boss, a guy named Carter, hits her with that line, "An intern could do this." And then, click, he mutes her in front of everybody. Just like that, silenced. Look, this wasn't just a firing. This was meant to be a public humiliation, engineered to be as disrespectful as humanly possible. This guy, Carter, who's described as an overcooked trust fund in khakis, didn't just fire her. He tried to delete her right there in front of the whole company with the click of a button. I mean, just look at this disconnect. It is staggering. On one side, you have Julia, 16 years. She built compliance systems so tough, they were literally used as examples in the industry. A data lockdown specialist. And on the other side, you've got this guy Carter, who cans her on a group call with no exit interview, no NDA, nothing, because he genuinely thinks her job is that simple. He had no idea he just pulled the pin on his own grenade. And this, right here, is where the story gets really, really good. Because Julia, she doesn't scream, she doesn't cry, she just calmly closes her laptop, makes herself what the story calls bad tea, and starts her plan. That calm, that's not defeat. Oh no, that is the first move in a stone-cold, brilliant counterattack. So she gets to the office, and what does HR hand her? 2 flimsy pieces of paper. It's a basic checklist for her tech. That's it. No severance details, no plan for handing off her duties, and, this is the big one, absolutely nothing from the legal department. It's so amateur, it's hilarious. And for a compliance expert like Julia, this isn't just sloppy, it's a gigantic flashing neon sign that says, "Here's our weakness." And with this one question, she lays the trap. So simple, so innocent sounding. But you and I both know that's not a real question, is it? It's a confirmation. She's confirming that Carter, in his infinite wisdom, blew right past the one department that could have saved him from himself. The HR rep just says, Carter wanted it done fast. And you can just imagine Julia thinking, oh, it's going to be fast, all right? This little detail is just fantastic. She doesn't just sign the paper. She uses her alternate signature. You know, the one that's a little loopier, a bit more dramatic. It's the signature the legal team back at the office knows means something is very, very wrong. It's this tiny act of defiance, a little flag planted in the ground that basically says, you guys don't even know the rules of the game you're playing. So Julia's back home, they've shut down her work accounts, and they did it fast. A little too fast, actually, because nobody stopped to think about a transition plan. And then her personal phone starts buzzing. The first shockwaves from an earthquake she didn't even have to trigger are starting to roll in. First up, a ping from Dave over in infrastructure. Carter, the genius new boss, is in an all-hands meeting asking if GDPR, that's the massive European data law that carries fines in the millions, even applies to them. That is like the captain of the Titanic asking his first mate, hey, see that big white thing? Are those dangerous? The incompetence is just off the charts. Then another one, this time from Rachel in legal. Turns out Julia's name is still the official point of contact for the Drug Enforcement Administration. Yeah, a federal agency. And Carter just forgot to mention a transition plan. You can practically feel the legal team starting to sweat through the text message. And there it is. We've just gone from an uh-oh situation to a full-blown 5-alarm fire. A major European client system just crashed. Why? Because Julia's credentials weren't just a password. They were the actual keystone holding the whole thing up. She didn't take anything. The system just followed protocol and followed her right out the door. Now, here's the thing you have to understand. Julia didn't lift a finger to make any of this happen. She didn't have to. She had already built the weapon years ago. A weapon with a name. A weapon that was just about to wake up and do precisely what it was designed to do. Everybody meet Grace, the general regulation automated compliance enforcer. This isn't just some little script. Think of Grace as an incorruptible digital cop that Julia built to protect the company from this exact type of foolishness. Its one and only job: scan the system and make sure the legal custodian of record, that's Julia, is present and accounted for. And Grace's logic is just beautifully simple and absolutely devastating. First, it scans for Julia. Then it sees her credentials were yanked without any legal authorization. It immediately flags this as a security breach. And then it initiates a system-wide lockdown of all data processing for any international client. It just shuts it down. And just like that, what was an internal panic attack becomes an external catastrophe. The automated systems do exactly what they were built for. They report the breach. And when you report a breach involving international data law and federal contacts, well, you don't just get a slap on the wrist, you get a visit. Look how fast the wheels come off. It is breathtaking. At 11 a.m., a client gets locked out. 17 minutes later, legal figures out Julia's name is the key to everything. 5 minutes after that, a formal GDPR breach notice lands. And just 6 minutes after that, 2 big SUVs with government plates are rolling into the parking lot, all while Carter's upstairs pitching his lean model to investors. You could not write this stuff. This is it, the moment of impact. Federal agents walk right into Carter's big investor meeting and lay it out ice cold. It's not an accusation, it's just a statement of fact. And he has to hear it, right there, in front of the very people he's trying to get money from. The humiliation is just total. But wait, it actually gets better. Because all that chaos, the system lockdowns, the federal investigation, that was just the appetizer. The real checkmate was a single clause that Julia had planted in her contract years ago, a contractual landmine just waiting for the right kind of idiot to step on it. The head of legal, Joanna, sees the agents in the lobby, and the first thing out of her mouth is this. Not what's going on, not how do we fix this, just this. And that question, filled with pure dawning horror, tells you everything. She knows exactly what's in that contract. And there it is, a risk mitigation addendum, signed and approved by the highest levels of the company, including the founder himself. The trigger condition is so specific it's almost poetic. Involuntary termination without a lawyer present during the offboarding. The exact mistake Carter just made. And the consequence? A massive contractually required payout. $2.7 million. That right there is the price tag for Carter's ego. That's the cost of hitting mute on the one person who knew how the whole place actually worked. It's not severance, it's a penalty. A penalty for, as Joanna put it, being that stupid. And so the story ends in perfect balance. Carter is fired on the spot, the wire transfer for $2.7 million is on its way, and Julia, she's at a park, completely unbothered, sipping a latte, watching a dog chase a leaf, totally indifferent to the smoking crater she left behind. It's the quietest, most brutal victory I've ever heard of. Which just leaves us with one last question to think about. They muted her. They took away her voice on a Zoom call to show her she was powerless. But what is real power? It's not about who talks the loudest. It's about who understands the system, who wrote the rules. And in the end, her silence was louder than they could have ever possibly imagined.